Hi, Kavi. Can I be your friend from today?
The royal summons arrived at dawn, sealed with the crimson wax of Pax sovereignty, and Lala knew her life would never be the same. The council had invoked their ancestral right. Every unmated Omega between 18 and 25 summers would present themselves before Alpha Darius Sharrock for consideration as Luna. No exceptions. No escape. Laleh pressed her trembling fingers against the parchment, feeling the weight of generations crushing down upon her shoulders. She was nobody. The orphaned daughter of disgraced healers, forbidden lineage flowing through her veins like poison. Her parents had broken council oath by treating rogues, by showing mercy where the law demanded death. They'd been executed for their kindness when she was only 7 years old. And now the Alpha wanted to see her, to judge her, to determine if she was worthy of standing beside the most powerful wolf in the Northern Territories. The irony tasted like ash on her tongue. Alpha Darius had lost his mate 3 years ago to a hunting accident. Shanaz had been beloved, graceful, everything a Luna should be. The entire pack still mourned her. And their son, little Kaveh, had never spoken a word since witnessing his mother's death. The physicians called it shock. The elders whispered darker things, that the boy was cursed, that the moon goddess had turned her face from the Sharrock bloodline. Before I continue with this story of impossible choices and hidden truths, tell me the city you're watching from so I can send you a warm hug. You're going to need it. The presentation ceremony would take place in 3 days. 73 Omegas would parade before the Alpha in the grand hall of the Sharrock estate. Laleh owned one decent dress, the pale blue one her mother had sewn before her execution, the stitches tight and perfect, made with a love that transcended death. On the morning of the presentation, Laleh bathed in the cold stream behind her cottage, scrubbing her olive skin until it glowed, working lavender oil through her long black hair until it shone like a raven's wing. She looked at her reflection in the water and saw her mother's face staring back, the same sharp cheekbones, the same full lips, the same stubborn set to her jaw that had gotten her parents killed. The grand hall stole Laleh's breath despite herself. Vaulted ceilings disappeared into shadow, ancient banners representing 5 centuries of Sharrock rule hanging like ghosts overhead. The Alpha's throne sat on a raised dais, carved from a single piece of black granite, inlaid with silver in patterns that seemed to move in the torchlight. But the throne was empty. Instead, Alpha Darius stood in the center of the hall, and Laleh felt her wolf stir for the first time in her life. He was magnificent, tall and broad-shouldered, with black hair shot through with silver at the temples despite being only 32. His face was all hard angles and ancient authority, but his eyes, those eyes were broken. Hollow. A man going through the motions because duty demanded it. Beside him stood a small boy, rigid and trembling. The heir of the realm wore a little formal tunic in the deep crimson of Pax sovereignty. His dark curls carefully combed. His small hands clenched into fists at his sides. He stared at the marble floor, his whole body vibrating with tension that Laleh recognized immediately. He was terrified, overwhelmed. The noise, the crowd, the expectations pressing down on him like a physical weight. One by one, the Omegas stepped forward. They curtsied perfectly, recited their lineages like prayers, showcased accomplishments in music, poetry, diplomacy, warfare. They were dazzling, untouchable, everything Laleh could never be. Laleh noticed none of them looked at Kaveh. The boy might as well have been furniture. Her name was called far too soon. Laleh Reza. The hall fell silent, but it was a different quality of silence than before. Whispers started immediately, spreading like wildfire. The traitor's daughter. Forbidden lineage. Laleh's face burned as she walked forward, keeping her chin high through sheer force of will. Alpha Darius's expression hardened when he recognized her surname. Reza, he said, his voice sharp. Your family broke council oath. What makes you believe you're suitable to be Luna? I have no noble lineage to recite, no wealthy family to elevate, Laleh said steadily. I heal the forgotten wolves at the edge of our territory. My parents taught me that kindness is the highest calling, even when the cost is everything. The whispers grew louder. Several Omegas laughed outright. Your parents betrayed the pack, Alpha Darius said coldly. Their kindness was treason. Their kindness was mercy. Even those who commit crimes are still living beings capable of suffering. That belief got them executed. Yes, it did. A small sound interrupted them. A whimper, barely audible beneath the crowd's murmurs. Kaveh was crying silently, tears streaming down his face. His little hands pressed over his ears, his entire body shaking. No one noticed. They were too busy savoring Laleh's public humiliation. But Laleh noticed. She didn't think. Didn't calculate consequences. Her healer's heart simply moved her body before her mind could catch up. Laleh knelt slowly, making herself small and non-threatening, about 3 feet from Kaveh. She didn't reach for him, that would be too much. Instead, she began humming very softly, a lullaby her mother used to sing. An old Persian melody about moonlight and safety and coming home. The hall fell silent again, but Laleh barely noticed. Her entire focus was on the trembling boy. Kaveh's hands slowly lowered from his ears. His enormous eyes, so much like his father's but full of pain instead of ice, found her face. Laleh smiled gently, still humming, and very carefully began tracing patterns in the air between them. Simple shapes, circles and stars and swirls, something to focus on, something predictable and calming in a world of chaos. Kaveh's breathing slowed. The rigid terror in his small body began to ease. He watched her hands with fascination, his tears stopping, his expression shifting from panic to curiosity. After a long moment, he lifted his own small hand and tried to mirror her movements, tracing a wobbly circle in the air. Laleh's smile widened. That's beautiful. You're very good at that. Kaveh didn't speak, but his lips curved into the smallest smile, a rare, precious thing that transformed his whole face. Behind her, Laleh heard Alpha Darius inhale sharply. She'd forgotten where she was. Forgotten the crowd, the ceremony, everything except this hurting child who needed someone to see him. Slowly, Laleh rose and stepped back, bowing to the Alpha. Forgive me for the interruption, Alpha. I'll take my leave now. She turned to go, expecting to be stopped, to be punished. Instead, Alpha Darius's voice rang out. You will stay. Laleh froze. All other candidates are dismissed, the Alpha continued, his eyes never leaving Laleh's face. The presentation ceremony is concluded. Chaos erupted. 72 Omegas began shouting in protest, their families crying out at the injustice. Roxana Farzana's voice cut through. You cannot choose the traitor's daughter. Council law forbids. I am Alpha. Darius's roar silenced the hall instantly. The ceremony is over. Leave. Now. They left, but not quietly, their outrage echoing through the massive space like a curse. Laleh stood alone in the center of the grand hall, absolutely certain she'd made a catastrophic mistake. When the last echo of footsteps faded, Darius spoke. What did you do? I don't understand, Alpha. My son hasn't smiled since his mother died. The physicians, the most accomplished healers in 5 territories. None of them could reach him. And you had him smiling within minutes. So I ask again, what did you do? Laleh chose her words carefully. I simply saw him. Not as the heir, not as a tragedy, but as a small boy who was frightened and overwhelmed. He needed someone to meet him where he was instead of demanding he rise to where we wanted him to be. How did you know what he needed? Because I've worked with children like Kaveh before. Their minds work differently, process things differently. They experience the world with an intensity most of us can't imagine. It's not a curse. Simply different. But our world isn't built for different, so we call it broken. Darius's jaw tightened. Every expert says. Experts often see only what they've been trained to see. They look at Kaveh and see silence and assume something is missing. I look at him and see a boy with a brilliant mind who communicates in ways we haven't learned to understand yet. For the first time since the ceremony began, something shifted in the Alpha's expression. A crack in the ice, a flicker of desperate hope quickly smothered. He looked down at Kaveh, who was now standing slightly in front of his father, still watching Laleh with unwavering focus. "Kaveh, do you like this Omega?" The boy nodded immediately, enthusiastically. Darius inhaled slowly. "Then it seems we have our answer. You will move into the East Wing tomorrow. You will have 1 month to prove yourself capable of fulfilling Luna duties while caring for my son. If, at the end of that month, Kaveh is thriving and you have demonstrated competence in pack matters, we will complete the Luna bond ceremony. But Alpha, I'm not. I have forbidden lineage, I have no training. You have 1 month, Laleh Reza. Don't waste it arguing." The first weeks were brutal. The pack seethed with rage. The Alpha had chosen the traitor's daughter over 72 worthy candidates. The merchant families were furious. The noble bloodlines felt insulted. Even common wolves whispered about bad omens. But Laleh showed up every day. She worked with Kaveh's instructors, teaching them how to reach the boy through tactile learning and spatial reasoning instead of abstract verbal instruction. She memorized pack families and alliances from a leather-bound ledger Darius gave her. She endured silent lunches with an Alpha who watched her with unreadable eyes. And every evening after Kaveh was asleep, she sat across from Darius in his office while he transformed from distant Alpha to demanding teacher, drilling her on pack politics until her head spun. Slowly, impossibly, Kaveh began to thrive. He learned sign language and could suddenly express complex thoughts. His instructors looked at Laleh with grudging respect. And Darius started looking at her with something warmer than respect, something that made her pulse race and her cheeks heat. On the night before the council evaluation dinner, Darius knocked on her door. "Can't sleep?" she asked when she opened it. "I haven't slept properly in 3 years." He crossed to her window, hands clenched at his sides. "What Roxana will say tomorrow, about you never replacing Shanaz, she won't be entirely wrong. I did love Shanaz with everything I had. When she died, I thought I'd never feel anything again." Laleh's chest ached. "I know, Darius. But tonight, when you defended yourself with such strength, when you spoke about honoring Shanaz by caring for the wolves she loved, something broke loose in me." He turned to face her. "I don't know if I can love you the way I loved her. That capacity might be gone forever. But I can give you everything else. My respect, my partnership, my protection. Would that be enough?" Laleh reached up to cup his face with both hands. "You're not hollow, Darius. You're scared. You're protecting yourself from being hurt again. But you feel deeply. I can see it when you look at Kaveh, when you fight for your pack. And you're starting to care about me, even though you're fighting it. I don't want to hurt you by caring too little. And I don't want to hurt you by demanding too much. So maybe we take this one day at a time. No expectations. No comparisons. Just us." He kissed her then. Desperate and hungry, months of suppressed attraction finally given permission. They stumbled toward her bed, and for the first time, they stopped fighting what was growing between them. The council dinner was an ambush. 18 council members sat around the massive table, their eyes on Laleh like wolves evaluating prey. She wore deep crimson, the color of pack sovereignty, and felt like a fraud. Darius sat at the head, every inch the Alpha. His expression unreadable. Ardeshir Farzana, Roxana's father, spoke first. "With respect, Alpha, this entire situation is irregular. My daughter was dismissed unfairly. The Reza family betrayed us. Their daughter carries that stain in her blood." Murmurs of agreement rippled around the table. Darius's voice remained level. "Laleh bears no responsibility for her parents' actions." "Blood will tell," said Mahasti Tehrani, sharp-faced and cold. "The daughter of traitors cannot be trusted. And the young master, another council member. What of his condition?" Laleh felt rage ignite. She spoke before Darius could respond. "Kaveh speaks volumes every day. He simply doesn't use the words you're listening for. In the past weeks, he's shown more mathematical understanding than expected, more strategic thinking than wolves twice his age, and more emotional intelligence than many in this room. If this pack cannot see the extraordinary child he is, then the failure is yours, not his. Dead silence. Hormuz, an elderly council member, smiled. The girl has teeth. And loyalty. Two things a Luna needs. The debate exploded. Half defending Laleh's passion, the other half condemning her outburst. Finally they voted. 7 in favor. 11 against. Laleh had lost. But Darius wasn't finished. As Alpha, I invoke ancestral right of sovereignty. Laleh Reza will become Luna in 3 days. This council is dismissed. The explosion of outrage was deafening. Ardeshir surged to his feet. You cannot override our vote. Council authority exists at my pleasure. When those two forces conflict, sovereignty wins. If you want to challenge my decision, face me in the circle. Otherwise, accept my choice. No one moved. Challenging an alpha meant fighting to the death. The threat was real and they all knew it. 3 days later, at dawn in the sacred grove, the bonding ceremony took place. Thousands of wolves packed the clearing, watching as Laleh walked toward the stone altar where Darius and Kaveh waited. She wore white with crimson accents. She'd never felt more exposed. Kaveh's entire face lit up when he saw her, and he began making their pattern gesture enthusiastically, completely disregarding ceremony protocol. The pack shaman performed the ritual. Blood was drawn, palms pressed together, ancient words spoken. Power slammed into Laleh as the bond formed, a connection snapping into place that she could feel like a living thing. His emotions flooded through her. Grief and duty and exhaustion, and underneath it all, buried deep, a tiny spark of hope. From his sharp inhale, she knew he felt hers too. Fear and determination and love for Kaveh and something warm and fragile directed at him. It is done, the shaman pronounced. Luna Laleh Sharak, may you lead with wisdom and strength. The crowd erupted, some in approval, others in stony silence. Laleh barely noticed. She was too busy adjusting to the bond, to the constant awareness of Darius's presence. Kaveh squeezed between them, taking both their hands, creating a tiny circle of 3 amid thousands. Maybe they could do this. Maybe they could build something real. But as Laleh looked out over the crowd, she saw Ardeshir and Mahasti exchanging glances that promised trouble. The bond was sealed. The real battle was just beginning. 2 months later, the Autumn Equinox Festival's second night brought the traditional Alpha Luna dance. Laleh dreaded it. She'd never learned formal dancing. But as the music started and they began to move, Laleh found herself anticipating Darius's movements through their bond, flowing with him. His hand at her waist guided her firmly, and for the first time in weeks, they were physically close. It was intoxicating. Through the bond, she felt his attraction bleeding through, the way she fit against him, the scent of her hair, the warmth of her skin. The dance ended. They stood breathless, still touching, the bond singing between them. How touching! Roxana's voice cut through the moment. She stood at the edge of the dance floor, clearly drunk, several council members around her. The Alpha dancing with his unfortunate necessity of a Luna. Tell me, do you ever feel guilty? Taking the place of a true Luna? Warming the bed of a man who will never love you because his heart is buried with his real mate? The hall went silent. Laleh felt Darius's rage explode through the bond. She stopped him with a hand on his arm. I think about Shanaz every day, Laleh said quietly. I think about how impossible it is to fill the space she left. You're right, Roxana. I'm not her and I never will be. But I'm not trying to replace her. I'm trying to honor her memory by taking care of the wolves she loved, by protecting the son she died protecting, by standing beside the mate she chose. If you think that makes me weak, then you understand nothing about love, nothing about sacrifice, and nothing about what it truly means to be Luna. She turned to face the entire hall. Yes, I'm the daughter of traitors. Yes, I have forbidden lineage. Yes, I make mistakes and fail more often than I succeed. But I show up every single day. I fight for wolves who can't fight for themselves. I love a child who wasn't mine but who has become mine in every way that matters. So judge me, mock me, I don't care anymore. Because at the end of the day, I can look Kaveh in the eyes and know I'm giving him everything I have. Silence. Then slow clapping from Hormuz. One by one, other wolves joined. Not all, but enough. Darius pulled Laleh close, his arm around her waist. Anyone else want to insult my Luna? No one took him up on it. 3 months after bonding, the emergency meeting was called at midnight. A messenger burst into the estate, pale with fear. Alpha, Luna, there's been an attack on the eastern border. Rogues, a massive pack more organized than we've ever seen. They've destroyed 3 villages. They're demanding an audience with you. They say they've come for the traitor's daughter. The hall erupted into chaos. Laleh's blood turned to ice. The rogues her parents had healed, they'd been gathering, planning, waiting. And now they'd come for her. Within the hour, Darius had mobilized every warrior. The estate was locked down. And in the war room, Darius transformed into the warrior Alpha. Cold, strategic, lethal. You're staying here, he said flatly. Protected. Until this threat is neutralized. They came for me, Laleh argued. Hiding while wolves die, defending me goes against everything I believe. I don't care. You stay safe. That's not your decision alone. It is in matters of pack security. His voice was iron. This is non-negotiable. To the pack or to you. The room went silent. Darius finally looked at her, intensity in his dark eyes making her knees weak. Both. Is that what you want to hear? That I'm terrified of losing you? Yes, you're important to the pack. But you're also important to me, and I just got you. I'm not ready to risk losing you to rogues who should have been eliminated when your parents made the catastrophic decision to show them mercy. The words hit like physical blows. My parents saved lives, Laleh said, voice shaking. They believed every creature deserved mercy. That belief got them killed. And now you're saying they were wrong. That their values, the same values that made you choose me, were catastrophic. Yes. Because mercy without wisdom is suicide. Your parents healed rogues who went on to kill pack members. Now those same rogues are at our border demanding you. So yes, their values were catastrophic. And I'll be damned if I let their legacy destroy you. Tears streamed down Laleh's face. Through the bond, she felt his terror, his desperation. And she felt her own certainty that he was wrong. If showing mercy makes me as foolish as my parents, then I'll accept that fate gladly. I'd rather die standing for compassion than live compromising it for safety. My parents taught me that kindness is worth the cost. Always. She turned and walked out, ignoring his command to stop. If the rogues wanted her, she'd give them exactly that. Darius caught her 3 corridors later, his hand closing around her wrist. Don't do this. Don't sacrifice yourself. Please, Laleh. I'm begging you. She turned to face him, and his expression nearly broke her resolve. I'm not sacrificing myself. I'm protecting my pack. If the rogues want me and I refuse, they'll slaughter wolves until I comply. The only question is how many die before I face what's coming. You're not selfish for wanting to live. And you're not selfish for wanting me safe. But this is who I am. The woman you bonded with comes with values you might not agree with. I believe in mercy, in second chances, in breaking cycles of violence. My parents believed that too, and maybe they were foolish, but they were also right. Through the bond, she felt his anguish, his fury at being trapped between duty and desire. If you do this, I'm coming with you. You can't. Kaveh needs you. If this goes badly, he needs one parent left. He needs his mother. You're not just a caretaker to him, you're mama. If you die, it will destroy him like losing Shanaz did. I can't watch my son go through that again. Laleh's tears fell faster. Through the bond she felt Darius crying too. Then trust me. Trust that mercy isn't naive foolishness but genuine strength. Trust that sometimes the bravest thing a Luna can do is meet her enemies without weapons. I can't lose you. I know I said I couldn't love you like Shanaz, but I was lying. I've been falling in love with you since the day you knelt beside my terrified son. I'm in love with you, Laleh, and I can't lose you when I've only just figured that out. Her heart shattered and soared. Then wait for me. Have faith that I'll come back. And if I don't, tell Kaveh every day that his mama loved him. Tell him I was brave. Tell him mercy matters. Promise me. No, I won't promise because you're not doing this. Laleh kissed him, pouring everything into it. When she broke away, she was already backing down the corridor. I love you. I'm sorry I didn't say it sooner. But I love you and I love Kaveh, and I'm going to save this pack the only way I know how. She ran before he could stop her, using Luna authority to command guards to let her through, to bar Darius from following. Behind her through the bond she felt Darius's emotions. Rage, terror, grief, love, all of it screaming. She silenced her side of the bond and kept running toward the eastern border. Toward mercy or death. The journey took 3 hours on horseback. The eastern border was carnage. 3 villages burned, bodies in the streets. Standing in the center stood a massive wolf with silver-streaked hair and scarred face. Around him at least 50 rogues, all armed. Laleh dismounted slowly, hands up to show she was unarmed. I'm Laleh Reza. You came for me. I'm here. Let's talk before more wolves die. The rogue leader studied her. Laleh Reza, daughter of Arash and Mitra, the healers who showed us mercy when the pack condemned us. You look just like your mother. Did you come to kill me for their mercy or because of it? Neither. We came to repay a debt. Your parents saved my pack. Healed us, gave us supplies and safe passage. We've been watching you, waiting to see what kind of woman you'd become. Someone who inherited their compassion. You're Luna now. We've come to offer our strength to yours. Laleh stared in shock. You destroyed 3 villages to offer alliance. We destroyed nothing. The pack did this. Your council, led by Ardeshir Farzana and Mahasti Tehrani, they ordered their own villages burned, killed their own wolves and blamed us. They're staging a coup. They're using us as the excuse to remove you and declare your mate unfit for choosing a traitor's daughter. You walked into a trap. The world tilted. Through the bond, Laleh felt Darius's arrival. He was here, had heard everything. Council warriors surrounded them from all sides. Ardeshir stepped from shadows, flanked by Mahasti and 20 armed wolves. Luna Laleh, how tragic. Consorting with rogues just like your parents. The council has no choice but to declare you a traitor and rescind your Luna bond. And Alpha Darius must be removed for the good of the pack. Rogues and council warriors faced each other, weapons drawn. Darius emerged from the tree line with loyal wolves, but they were outnumbered. Ardeshir, you've declared war against your Alpha, Darius said, deadly calm. I hope you understand what that means. It means I'm saving this pack from your weakness. Ardeshir pointed at Laleh with contempt. Surrender peacefully, and we'll exile you instead of executing you. The rogue leader stepped beside Laleh protectively. The girl came in good faith. She gets to leave safely, or you'll face 50 wolves who owe her family a blood debt. Laleh's mind raced. She could feel Darius calculating odds, preparing for violence. She couldn't let that happen. Wait. Ardeshir, you want me gone? Fine. Leave. I'll renounce my Luna bond voluntarily right here. Just let Darius keep his position. Let these wolves, all of them, live. Exile me, blame me for everything. Just don't destroy this pack with civil war. No. Darius's roar echoed. Laleh, no, you can't. I can and I will. I'm Luna. That means I protect the pack even from itself. This is my choice. Through the bond, she felt his heart breaking. You can't renounce a Luna bond, Mahasti said uncertainly. It's permanent. Unless the Luna chooses death over bondage. At which point the bond can be severed by Luna's choice, freeing the Alpha to bond again without dishonor. Ancient pack law, rarely invoked. But it would work. I, Luna Laleh Sharak, formerly Reza, Do hereby renounce my bond to Alpha Darius Sharok. I claim the right of severing, accepting exile in exchange for the pack's continued peace. The bond is broken by my will and my blood. She pulled the ceremonial knife and drew it across her palm where she'd cut it during the bonding. Pain exploded as the bond shattered. Lala felt like her chest was being ripped open, felt Darius screaming through their connection even as it dissolved. And nothing. Silence. Emptiness. Lala collapsed to her knees, gasping, blood dripping onto scorched earth. Across the clearing, Darius fell too, warriors catching him. Through tear-blurred vision, Lala saw devastation on his face, saw him reaching for her. The bond was gone. It's done, Laleh whispered to Ardeshir, voice broken. I'm no longer Luna. Darius is Alpha alone. You have no grounds for your coup. Stand down. But Mahasti stepped forward, face twisted with satisfaction. Did you really think it was that simple? We didn't just want you gone. We wanted you dead. A symbolic execution to prove what happens when wolves show mercy to rogues. Your parents died for their ideals. Now you'll die for yours. And Alpha Darius will watch, powerless. And every wolf will know what happens when you choose the wrong side. Horror flooded Laleh. Darius was on his feet, his wolves forming up. His expression pure murder. Touch her and I'll kill every one of you. She's not your mate anymore. She made sure of that. She's just a wolf now. And wolves who betray the pack get executed. Council warriors drew their swords. The rogue leader and his 50 wolves moved to defend Laleh. Darius charged forward with his loyal warriors, screaming Laleh's name. This was it. The moment everything ended. Laleh closed her eyes, thinking of Kaveh, hoping someone would tell him she loved him. The swords fell toward her throat. And then a small figure burst through the warriors, screaming in a voice that hadn't been heard in 3 years. No! Don't hurt my mama! Speaking. He threw himself in front of Laleh, his small body shielding hers, arms spread wide. Don't hurt my mama, please. She didn't do anything wrong. She's good and kind and she loves me and I love her, and if you hurt her I'll die too. Please. Every sword froze. Every wolf stared at the young heir defending his Luna. Laleh wrapped her arms around Kaveh, pulling him close. It's okay, little wolf. It's going to be okay. But she was lying. Ardeshir and Mahasti had gone too far to back down. Then Darius was there, having fought through council warriors, his sword dripping blood. He placed himself between his son and the blades, between Laleh and death. You want to execute my mate. You'll have to kill me first. Then kill my son because he won't stop fighting for her. Then kill every loyal wolf behind me, and every rogue who owes the Reza family a blood debt. So ask yourselves, is removing one Luna worth the civil war that will destroy this pack? Finally Hormuz stepped forward. Enough. Ardeshir, Mahasti, you've lost. The moment the heir spoke to defend her, the moment Alpha Darius chose death over betraying her, you lost. Stand down before you destroy everything. Ardeshir's face contorted with rage. But Mahasti put her hand on his arm. This isn't over. The traitor's daughter broke her Luna bond. She has no protection, no authority. She's just another wolf, and wolves can be eliminated through 1,000 legal means. We have time. She walked away, warriors following. The battle was over. But the war had just begun. 5 days later, Lala had settled in a small village at the very edge of the territories, so far from Moonstone Valley that wolves here barely knew who Alpha Darius was. She lived simply, healed local wolves, kept her head down, tried not to think about Kaveh's laugh or Darius's rare smiles. She failed constantly. News traveled slowly. She'd heard Darius had stabilized pack politics. That Kaveh was thriving, speaking fluently. That Darius had refused every council suggestion to select a new Luna. That news had made her cry for 3 days. On the morning of the 4th month, she was gathering herbs when she heard hoofbeats. Samon, the rogue leader, emerged from the trees. Lala, I bring urgent news from Alpha Darius. Her stomach dropped. Is Kave okay? They're both fine. Physically. He held out a sealed letter. The Alpha asked me to deliver this personally. Laleh took it with shaking hands. She waited until he left before opening it. The Council has invoked an ancient law allowing them to nullify Luna bond severances made under duress or coercion. They argue your choice, made while surrounded by hostile forces, doesn't count as genuine free will. The vote passed. As of 3 days ago, our bond severance has been declared invalid. Which means legally you're still my Luna, still my mate. The bond didn't actually break. It was only suppressed. According to the shaman, it can be restored. But only if you choose to restore it. Only if you come back. I'm not asking you to come back for me, though I want you to. I'm asking for Kave. He's been struggling. He speaks now, your miracle, but he asks about you constantly. Wants to know when you're coming home. Cries at night because he misses his mama. The truth is, we need you. Both of us. The pack needs you. Your clinics for poor wolves, your advocacy for the forgotten, your stubborn insistence that mercy matters. All of it left holes no one else can fill. Come home, Laleh. Please. Let me restore the bond. Let me stand before the pack and reclaim you as my Luna with all the ceremony and permanence that entails. Let me love you properly without guilt and fear. I'm not the same man who chose you from 72 candidates. That man was dead inside. You brought me back. You made me remember what it feels like to hope, to care, to love. And I love you, Laleh. Not as a replacement for Shanaz. I love you for exactly who you are. Difficult and stubborn and compassionate to a fault. I love the woman who saw my broken son and healed him with patience. I love the Luna who sacrificed everything to save wolves who hated her. Come home. Let me spend the rest of our lives proving you were never second choice, never consolation prize, never anything but the exact right woman at the exact right time. The choice is yours. But please choose us. Choose home. Darius. Kave drew you a picture. He says if you don't come back, he's going to run away and find you himself. So really, you'd be doing me a favor by returning before I have to chase down a determined 5-year-old. Laleh unfolded the second parchment with trembling hands. Kave's drawing showed 3 figures. A tall man, a small boy, and a woman with long black hair. They were holding hands, standing in front of the Sharok estate. Above them, he'd drawn a moon and written in careful letters. Come home, Mama. We miss you. Love, Kave. Laleh pressed the drawing to her chest and let herself cry great, heaving sobs from the deepest part of her soul. They wanted her home. Not because she was useful or convenient, but because they loved her. Because they chose her. Because family wasn't about blood or bonds or destiny. It was about choosing each other again and again, even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. She thought about her parents, about the mercy they'd believed in so deeply they'd died for it. She thought about how their compassion had come full circle. Rogues they'd healed had protected their daughter when she needed it most. She thought about Kave's voice, about Darius's love, about a pack that needed a Luna who understood kindness wasn't weakness but the highest form of strength. And she made her choice. Laleh began packing immediately, gathering her belongings, preparing for the journey back to the life she'd thought she'd lost forever. She was going home. She was reclaiming her bond, her position, her family. And this time, she wouldn't let fear or politics or anyone's disapproval stand in the way. She was Luna Laleh Sharok. And she was done running. The journey back to Moonstone Valley felt both endless and far too short. Laleh traveled with Samon's escort. And with every mile, anticipation built in her chest. Would Darius still want her? Would the bond restoration work? Would the pack accept her return? Would she be enough this time? They crested the final hill and Moonstone Valley spread below them. She'd expected to arrive quietly, to surprise Darius and Kave privately. Instead, she found half the pack gathered in the central square, as if they'd known she was coming. At the front stood Darius, looking exhausted and tense and more beautiful than any man had a right to be. Beside him stood Kave, practically vibrating with excitement. The moment Kaveh saw her, he broke free and ran. "Mama!" Laleh barely dismounted before he slammed into her, wrapping his small arms around her waist with desperate strength. "You came back. You came back, you came back." "I came back," Laleh confirmed, kneeling to hold him properly. "I'm sorry I left, little wolf. I'm so sorry. But I'm here now, and I'm not leaving again. Never again. I promise." "You promise." "I promise on my parents' memory and my own heart." "Home, Kaveh. I'm home." She looked up to find Darius standing over them, his expression raw. "You came," he said hoarsely. "You asked me to. I didn't think you would. I hoped, but—" He broke off, shaking his head. "Can you forgive me? For not fighting harder to keep you? For letting you walk away? There's nothing to forgive. You gave me the freedom to choose. That's worth more than chains of duty." Laleh stood slowly, Kaveh still clinging to her side. "So I'm choosing now, publicly and permanently. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing Kaveh. I'm choosing this impossible, difficult, beautiful life as your Luna. If you'll still have me. If I'll—" Darius laughed, the sound breaking with relief. "Laleh, I've been waiting 4 months for this exact moment. There hasn't been a single day I didn't hope for it." He closed the distance and kissed her with the passion of a man who'd thought he'd lost everything. The pack cheered around them. Not all, not unanimously, but enough. Enough to matter. When they broke apart, Darius turned to address the gathered wolves. 5 months ago, I chose Laleh Reza as my Luna against all political wisdom. The council fought me. Tradition condemned her. Every logical voice told me to choose differently. But I chose her anyway because my son needed her and because I was starting to need her too. Since then, she's proven herself 100 times over. And when faced with civil war, she sacrificed her own bond to protect this pack. That's not weakness. That's the kind of strength true leaders possess. He took Laleh's hand, intertwining their fingers. "Today I reclaim my mate. Today the bond is restored. Not in secret or shame, but in full view of the pack. Any wolf who wishes to challenge this may face me directly. Otherwise, Luna Laleh is restored with all the authority and protection that entails. We move forward together, or we don't move forward at all." It was both invitation and threat. Hormuz stepped forward, bowing deeply. "The council, those of us who value honor over politics, support the restoration. Welcome home, Luna Laleh." One by one, wolves began to kneel. Not all. Ardeshir and Mahasti were notably absent, their supporters standing rigid and resentful. But enough wolves knelt. And that was enough. The pack shaman came forward to perform the bond restoration. A simple ceremony rejoining their scarred palms, blood mingling again as ancient words were spoken. The moment the bond snapped back into place, Laleh gasped. There it was, that connection she'd lost, that awareness of Darius's presence and emotions. But it felt different now. Stronger. Deeper. Not just magical compulsion but genuine partnership built on sacrifice and choice and hard-won understanding. Through the bond, she felt Darius's emotions flood into her. Relief, love, joy, gratitude, and underneath it all bedrock certainty that this was right, that she belonged here, that they belonged together. And she sent her own emotions back. Love, commitment, hope, and fierce determination to be the Luna this pack needed. They were complete again. They were home. That night, after Kaveh had finally fallen asleep, curled between them in Darius's large bed because he refused to let either parent out of his sight, Darius and Lala lay awake in the darkness, hands intertwined. "This isn't going to be easy," Darius murmured. "Ardeshir and Mahasti will keep fighting. The council will continue challenging your decisions. Half the pack still doesn't fully accept you." "I know," Laleh replied. "But we'll face it together. That's what mates do." "That's what mates do," he agreed, pressing a kiss to her temple. Through the bond, Laleh felt his love. Not the desperate, all-consuming passion he'd had for Shanaz, but something steadier, deeper, built on respect and partnership and shared trauma that had forged them into something unbreakable. It was enough. More than enough. It was everything. I love you, she whispered into the darkness. I love you, he whispered back. Thank you for coming home. Thank you for asking me to. They fell asleep like that, hands intertwined, bond humming between them, Kave's small body warm and safe between them, and for the first time in months, both slept peacefully. The battle wasn't over. Ardeshir and Mahasti would return with new strategies. The pack would continue testing her. Politics would remain dangerous. But they would face it together. And that made all the difference. 1 year later, Luna Lala Sharak stood in the council chamber, 7 months pregnant and radiating authority despite her condition. Around her sat the council members, including 3 new appointments she'd fought for. A rogue representative, a healer, and a wolf from the lower villages. Ardeshir and Mahasti were notably absent. They'd been exiled 6 months ago after attempting one final coup that failed when the pack, rogues and nobles alike, rose up to defend their Luna. Mercy had its own kind of power. Treating people with compassion created loyalty politics never could. Her parents had been right all along. The proposal to expand healing clinics to all border territories passes unanimously, Hormuz announced. Luna Laleh, you'll oversee implementation. With Alpha Darius's support, yes, Laleh confirmed, glancing at her mate. He sat at the head of the table, looking every inch the powerful Alpha, but through their bond she felt his amusement and pride. After the meeting concluded, they walked together through the estate corridors, Darius's hand resting protectively on her swollen belly. Kaveh wants to know if his little sister will be able to sign with him, Darius said. I tried to explain newborns don't have that level of motor control, but he's convinced she'll be different. She might be, Laleh replied with a smile. Nothing about this family is conventional. They found Kaveh in his room, surrounded by drawings and books. When he saw them, his face lit up, that same brilliant smile that had first convinced Laleh to fight for him. Mama. Look what I drew. He held up a picture of their family. 4 figures now instead of 3, a tiny baby added to their circle. It's perfect, Laleh said, her heart overflowing. You're perfect. Kaveh hugged her carefully, then pressed his ear against her belly. Hello, little sister. I'm your big brother Kaveh. I'm going to teach you everything. And Mama and Baba are going to love you so much. We all are. Through the bond, Laleh felt Darius's emotions. Joy, contentment, gratitude for the family they'd built against all odds. They stood together in their son's room, watching him chatter excitedly about his plans for his sister, and Laleh marveled at how far they'd come. From scorned birthright to public humiliation to dangerous turning point to royal council turmoil to emotional freefall to devastating choice. They'd survived it all. And they'd come out stronger. Because mercy mattered. Kindness mattered. Choosing compassion over cruelty mattered. Her parents had known that truth. They died for it. And Laleh had lived it, had fought for it, had built a family and a pack around it. She was Luna Lala Sharak, daughter of traitors, mate of an alpha, mother of wolves who would change the world. And she was finally, completely, undeniably home. But in the shadows outside Kaveh's window, a hooded figure watched the happy family with eyes that gleamed with ancient hatred. The battle for Moonstone Valley was far from over. Some debts ran deeper than blood. Some vengeance waited years to ripen. The wolves who thought they'd won had no idea their real enemy had just begun to move. A woman's voice, cold as winter frost, whispered from beneath the hood. Enjoy your happiness while it lasts, Luna Laleh. You took everything from me. Now I'll take everything from you. Starting with that precious son you love so much. The figure melted into darkness, leaving only the faint scent of wildflowers and poison. The same scent that had clung to Shanaza's body the day she died. The day her hunting accident had been anything but accidental. And now, the woman who'd orchestrated that murder had returned to finish what she'd started. To destroy the Sharak bloodline completely. To claim the Alpha throne that should have been hers by ancestral right, to make Darius pay for choosing mercy over power. To make them all pay. Inside the warm room, unaware of the danger gathering like storm clouds, Lala laughed at something Kava said, her hand resting protectively on her unborn daughter, believing for one perfect moment that the worst was behind them. She had no idea the worst was yet to come.